Hey, Daily Doses, this is Pastor Larry here again. And on this Wednesday, what we're doing is taking a look at chapter 3 from Second Timothy, the book that we've been looking at this entire week. And I had the privilege of preaching on this last weekend. And as you read through chapter 3 this week, there's going to be a number of things that jump out. But I want to go back to something that I talked about in the message and just highlight it once again, because sometimes it's good for us to hear things so much that we kind of almost even roll our eyes a little bit, because at that point we go, we've not only heard it, we're not only familiar with it, like we actually get it. So here it is, chapter 3 at the very beginning. Paul tells Timothy, mark this, there will be terrible times in the last days. And I took some time during that message to point out that the biblical use of last days is not what we call end times. It's the last season. It's the time from the point where Jesus went back into heaven until the point where he comes back down from heaven. This is the last era. This is the last days, if you will. And in these last days, sin is going to reign, even though Jesus has been victorious. And it's always a little puzzling to us that sin has such power if Jesus is supposed to have conquered death and sin. But it's a lot like if you're any sort of a history buff or you've studied it. When the Allies landed at Normandy, World War II was essentially over. But the march to Berlin took time, and on the march to Berlin, there were actual real casualties. The war was over. The die was cast when they took Normandy. But not until they got to Berlin was the war completely over. And we're in this in-between time where we're living today. And frankly, for most of us that are Jesus followers, we kind of feel like right now, just with the ebb and flow of spirituality, that these are times of great evil, and causes even some of us to wonder, is the Lord going to come? How bad can it get? But all you've got to do is go back throughout history. What if you were a Christian during the time of the plagues? What if you were a Christian during some of the Crusades? What if you were a Christian during all kinds? You were in Nazi Germany as one trying to follow Jesus when Hitler rises up. I mean, I could just go on and on and on with situations that are pretty horrific. And we find ourselves, and always will find ourselves, and should not be surprised when we look around and go, these are terrible days. And here's what we need to hold on. In these terrible days, whereas verse 2 says, people are lovers of themselves, lovers of money, they're boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy. They don't have love, they're unforgiving, they're slanderous, they don't have any self-control, they're brutal, they're not lovers of good, they're treacherous, they're rash, they're conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. They've got a form of religion and spirituality, but they deny the real power of it. When we're around that, here's what we need to remember. We're not here by accident. The Lord's not up in heaven going, oh my gosh, why did I leave them here during this? No, we're here by assignment. And each and every day on our porch is the power and the strength and the ability to bring glory and honor to God today. Oh, when I look to next week, to next month, or sometimes where I think culture and society is going, I go, I won't be able to handle it, but I'm not there yet. It's when I get there that the grace, the strength, the power, and the wisdom to deal with it will be on my front porch that morning. See, Paul told Timothy, expect it. And I would just want to remind all of us, expect it. And don't worry about what's coming tomorrow. Worry about what we're assigned to do today. And do it well. And therein is the victory. Therein is the path to what Paul later on says, where he says, I've fought the good fight. I've kept the faith. And there's a great reward waiting for me.